Hey everybody, I'm Captain Zeus and welcome to the Block Party. We have some DCU news for you. James Gunn has finally released at least a slew of projects and a little bit of an update of what's going to happen in the DC universe. Now, before we go forward, be sure to like and subscribe for more DCU news. We're going to try to give you as much as we can on these updates as soon as we can, when we can. And be sure to comment below any castings that you think should be for these roles. So, to start off, this is a general timeline. Things might shift scheduling wise. Now, what was announced was the first 5 projects in the first phase of the DCU. The first phase is called Gods and Monsters. Matt Reeves' Joker and Joker 2 will still come out, but it will be under the guise of DC Elseworlds, meaning it's not a part of the interconnected DCU. So we can still see movies and shows of stories we love outside of the connected DCU. Now, Shazam 2 and The Flash are still releasing, with The Flash being a universe reset like the Flashpoint Paradox, and Blue Beetle will still release, being the first movie after the reset. We will also have same characters reprising their roles in the animated and live action series and movies in the DC universe, making everything truly connected. And now, we have our releases for the DCU. First up is Creature Commandos. This is an animated TV series that'll be on HBO Max, like all the TV series on this list. We don't know the plot as of this moment, but we do know the characters will be Rick Flag Sr., who is going to be popping up again in the DCU. We have Nina Mazursky, Dr. Phosphorus, a Batman villain, Frankenstein, Eric Frankenstein specifically, the Bride of Frankenstein, who's the lead, G.I. Robot, and Weasel. This series has already been written by James Gunn, so be sure to hear news on this soon. Next up, we have Waller. Viola Davis is coming back as Amanda Waller in this live-action series set in between seasons 2 and 1 of Peacemaker, so expect to see some of the characters from there pop up. The creator of the Doom Patrol series and the writer of the Watchmen series are creatives working on this. Next up is the real launch of the DCU, Superman Legacy. This live-action film is being written by James Gunn, which story is focusing on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. Kind of sounds like Man of Steel, right? The release date for this movie is set for July 11th, 2025. Next up has been one we've been all hearing about for years. It's the live-action HBO Max Green Lantern series called Lanterns. This series is going to star Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart in a true detective-type mystery with our 2 lanterns leading into an overall story that's going to be told throughout the movies and shows. Next up is one nobody saw coming. A live-action movie called The Authority. These are Wildstorm characters, which was a comic imprint that was bought by DC, and James said they're going to be moving a lot of those characters into the DCU. The story is about a group of superheroes with good intentions, but think that the world is completely broken, and the only way to fix it is to take things into their own hands. Whether that means killing people, destroying heads of state, changing governments, they're basically morally great characters that'll do whatever it takes to make the world better. Sounds like it's going to give me The Boys vibe. Next up is an origin story some have wanted to see for a while. It's a live-action HBO Max series called Paradise Lost. This is a Game of Thrones type of origin story about themyscria and how their society came to be. Next is one a lot of people have been wanting to see. It's a live-action Batman movie called The Brave and the Bold. This is the introduction of the DCU's Batman, hinting we'll be getting yet another actor as our Caped Crusader. It's not Pattinson, he's still working with Matt Reeves on the Batman movies. It's not Ben Affleck, he's working on possibly directing this movie or other projects. This is a story of Damian Wayne, Batman's actual son. That's based on Grant Morrison's comic run that we've seen a bit of in the DC Animated Universe movies. This is also going to feature other members of the extended Bat family, just because they've been left out for too long. Next, we have a project that a lot of people have been wanting to have made for a while. It's a live-action HBO Max series called Booster Gold. The story is going to follow a loser from the future who uses his basic future technology to come back to today to pretend to be a hero. They're currently in talks with an actor to play Booster right now. No word as of who. Next up, we got Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This live-action movie is based on Tom King's comic run, who's been an architect of the entire DCU situation. He's one of the 5 or 6 writers in the room with James Gunn and Peter Safran. In this story, Superman was sent to Earth and raised by incredibly loving parents. Kara was on a piece of Krypton that drifted away from the planet and lived there for the first 14 years of her life in a horrible situation where she watched everyone around her die. So she's a much harsher and more effed up Supergirl than we've seen so far. Finally, we have Swamp Thing. This is going to be a live-action horror movie. Although all the stories in the DCU are interconnected, they're not the same. Each filmmaker brings their own aesthetic to these movies, and this film is going to be a dark origins of Swamp Thing. There are a few more projects in development, but for one reason or another, they weren't able to be announced. This is the first batch. They plan on releasing 2 movies and shows a year. Even games are going to be interconnected, but maybe not all of them. James Gunn has said the storytelling is 100% key. Not everything's going to be rated R though. Depending on the project, the ratings will change. For example, Superman Legacy is going to be rated PG-13. And about Jason Momoa's rumors, well, no one's going to be playing two characters. After Aquaman 2, Gunn said they're going to be figuring out Jason Momoa's future with Aquaman or Lobo. And that's all the news that was released today, earlier this morning, by James Gunn himself, and through DC's articles. James Gunn's announcement and the articles following are going to be in the links below, so be sure to check those out for the full descriptions and in-depth talks about this. Thank you all so much for watching. We're going to try to give you as much news as we can on the DCU situation whenever we can. Let us know in the comments who you want to be casted as these spectacular roles and what projects you want to see come to life. I'm thoroughly surprised by this, and I'm honestly pretty excited for the future of the DCU, as this is looking like to be a lot more planned out than the MCU was so far. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and let's see what this reboot's going to do for the DC universe. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'm Captain Zeus, and you guys have a good one. See ya.